Now to another story developing in Paris ahead of the Games. Coordinated vandalism and arson attacks on the French high-speed rail system has brought trains to a halt. Nearly 1 million passengers are affected, and efforts are underway to get the trains moving. For more on this, we've reached Alain Bauer. He is a professor of criminology. Alain, thank you so much for making time for us. What was your first reaction when you heard about the attack?
Well, it was not a surprise during the preparation of the Olympics like any other event. And since 2015, the terrorist attack in Paris, we are prepared for attacks against the networks and the railway. We have almost 30,000 kilometers of railway networks, and this is a very huge target for any type of attacks or sabotage or terrorism. At this time, it's the first time we have a coordinated attack on 4 points, 3 that succeeded, unfortunately, 1 that failed due to workers that made the attackers fly. But this was a part of the processes to prepare the Games. It's far from the Games, far from any venues, but it is a disrupting issue with almost 1 million passengers on the tracks. But the network are resuming operation as we talk.
Alain, let's talk a little bit about how this attack was described. The rail company CEO described the attack as a premeditated, calculated, and coordinated. And he said it indicates a desire to seriously harm the French people. I mean, those are scary words. What can we determine from the details that we have so far?
So everything is right, but the last word, it was not made to harm the people, but to harm the network. It was made to have no casualties for human people. It destructed junction boxes that give you information that transmit data from all the trains coming in and coming on. But the system is so automated that every train stopped as soon as the communication was broken. So it was not made to kill or harm people, but it was made to create disruption into the network. It was perfectly coordinated, perfectly thought, perfectly determined. It was a huge effort of intelligence to see where are the connection points and where it will do the most damage for the network and for the circulation of the trains, but not to kill or harm people.
Alain, often before the Olympics, we do hear about something that was possibly planned and foiled, but this year we're really hearing about quite a few. Given the level of planning that has gone into preparing the Olympics, how is it possible that an attack like this was able to happen? I can't help but wonder, are we just, because we're so plugged in, there's social media, 24-hour news networks like ours, are we just hearing more than we were in the Olympics of the years past? How do you think an attack like this was able to happen?
Well, the attack is easy. Imagine the train, the connection between, I don't know, Montreal and Vancouver. How do you protect it all the way? You don't. So you just look at what you need to protect more than the other, which are junction point, transit system. And these are the most vulnerable and, of course, the most valuable targets. This is the same thing. Most of the police, gendarmes, and other security forces, including intelligence, are focused on the opening ceremony, which is overprotected. And of course, it's a very huge target, so it's overprotected. But then you cannot protect every kilometers of all the networks of the country at the same time. And because it's the Olympics, everything that happened during the Olympics create a huge information media effect. And that's why they choose to do it today.
Alain, you've had a lot of experience giving security advice at multiple Olympic Games. We're looking at these Games, athletes from around the world, so many spectators, so many tourists, and a lot of it is happening on the river, which is kind of a new element that the previous Games had not done. How difficult our reporters and our host, Heather Hiscox, are in Paris and we're showing us the kind of security around the Seine, closing the airspace, all of this stuff. Even with all of that at work. How difficult is it to deal with an event of this size, happening in so many different places, stadiums, river, the metro? Is it even possible to assure people that this will be secure?
But 100% security doesn't exist anywhere, including when you cross the street and get hurt by a bicycle, for example. So things are complicated. Those games are more complicated than the others because of the decision to make the opening ceremony on the Seine, which is a non-protected area, which is extremely different than a stadium, for example, which is the usual. And due to the arrival of mini drones, which are less expensive and more easy to use now, after what we discover on October 7 in Israel, Gaza, or after the last attempt to kill candidate Trump, we know that everything that we learned from before may be changed due to the new technologies that are affordable and usable for multiple causes coming from ecologists, radicals, and of course, terrorists or militants that want to make a point during the game because they will have the best communication tool they can imagine. So it's very difficult. It's the most difficult games ever organized on a security point of view, and it will give a lot of thinking about the next games on the next cities, and maybe a way to rethink the idea of having the games inside a dense city, so dense that it is almost impossible to move inside the city at the moment.
So interesting. Definitely you're giving us some thoughts about how this may impact Olympic Games in the future. Alain, thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
Alain Bauer, thank you so much.